With a shaking hand, she quickly shoved the small data chip into the port just below her ruined holo display and held her breath until the console acknowledged it had read and uploaded the file. She smiled, small and grim. She would not fail. If she couldn't get through to her resistance contacts, perhaps there was another way from her past. She briefly clutched the small snake pendant she always wore around her neck, muttered a plea to her gods, and then, from memory, she punched in the illegal radio signal that would call the only person she still trusted on her homeworld. She held her breath and waited. But no one answered, and it was too late. She couldn't wait to confirm the connection. She would just have to hope. She hit the command to transmit, knowing that sending the key put her friend in danger. If anyone found out, they would have a first-order target on their backs. But she had no choice. A bright blinking green light told her that the transfer was complete, just as a blinding brightness surrounded her. She opened her mouth, but she didn't have time to scream before her world disintegrated around her. The citizens of Coronet City watched the tie explode into nothingness. Some curious, most apathetic. And they continued on home to waiting families and household pets, or to the cantina to meet with friends, or to 1,000 other places under the setting sun. The exploding tie didn't even make the evening news feeds, and by the next morning, it was all but forgotten. Chapter 1. Leia jerked awake, her head snapping back against the rough fabric of the headrest. Her hands grasped for purchase in the armless chair as she tried to keep herself from falling. She cried out, a small startled breath in the otherwise empty room, as her fingers clasped around the edge of the console table. It took her a moment for her senses to come back to her, and for her to remember where she was. The low hum of machinery and the distant clank of someone doing repairs, even at this odd hour, told her she was on the Millennium Falcon. Not on the Raddus during the First Order's attack, when she had felt the presence of her son nearby. Not in the cold darkness of space into which she had been flung immediately after. She had been dreaming just now. The same dream that had plagued her since it happened. She was alone, cold, her body failing, her spirit lost, surrounded by the vast emptiness of space. In real life, she had woken, and the force had flared hot and alive in her, and it had brought her back, guided her to safety. But in the dream, she stayed suspended in the void, failing her friends, her family, and the people she had vowed to lead. Failing her son, most of all. Everyone she loved, dead. When did I get so morbid? She muttered to herself, pushing her aching body upright in her chair. She knew when, since she had died. Well, almost died. She'd had plenty of close calls in her life. The bombing during her senatorial days back on Hosnian Prime. The torture session with Vader that even now, decades later, spiked her adrenaline and set her on edge when even the barest hint of that memory surfaced. A million narrow escapes with Han back in the days of the rebellion. But nothing quite like being blasted out of that ship, drifting through space alone. She rubbed a tired hand over her face, looking around. It had been a long few days since Chewie and Rey had shown up on Crate to rescue them from the First Order. Since she had seen her brother again, and lost him just as quickly. She wondered how much she was supposed to